A Compute Blade server is a stripped-down server computer with a modular design optimized to minimize the use of physical space and energy. Blade servers have many components removed to save space, minimize power consumption and other considerations, while still having all the functional components to be considered a computer. Blade servers are usually housed in a rack that can contain multiple units, each with its own processor, memory, storage and network interfaces. A Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4 CM4 is a small board that incorporates a quad-core ARM Cortex-A72 processor, dual video output, and a wide selection of other interfaces. It is available in 32 variants, with a range of RAM and eMMC flash options, and with or without wireless connectivity. The CM4 is designed for deeply embedded applications that require the power and flexibility of the Raspberry Pi 4 in a compact form factor. Using a Raspberry Pi CM4 for a Compute Blade server has several advantages. First, it is very cost-effective, as the CM4 starts from $25 and can be easily scaled up or down depending on the needs of the application. Second, it is very energy efficient, as the CM4 can draw as little as 22 W of power from its Power over Ethernet connection. Third, it is very versatile, as the CM4 supports a variety of interfaces and peripherals, such as M.2 NVMe drives, YubiKey two-factor authentication, SIMkey security modules, Microsoft's TPM 2.0, and individual fans on the back plate. Fourth, it is very easy to use, as the CM4 can be plugged into a custom carrier board that exposes every interface from the CM4 and provides a development platform and reference baseboard design. In summary, a Compute Blade server is a modular and efficient way to build a server system that can handle various tasks and workloads. A Raspberry Pi CM4 is an ideal choice for a Compute Blade server because of its low cost, low power consumption, high performance, and flexibility. In this section, we will learn how to test and troubleshoot your Raspberry Pi Compute Blade server and some use cases for it. A Compute Blade server is a rack-mountable, P-powered carrier board for Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4 and compatible devices with all the necessary interfaces. With a Compute Blade server, you can create a high-density, low-power consuming, plug-and-play blade server for home or data center use. To test your Compute Blade server, you will need a few things. A pose switch or injector that can provide up to 22 W of power per port, a network cable to connect the switch or injector to the Compute Blade server, a monitor, and a HDMI cable to connect to the Compute Blade server for debugging, a USB-C cable to access the Compute Module 4's onboard flash and bootloader updates, a micro SD card with Raspberry Pi OS or another compatible operating system, a keyboard and a mouse optional. To test your Compute Blade server, follow these steps. 1. Insert the micro SD card into the slot on the Compute Blade server. 2. Connect the HDMI cable from the monitor to the Compute Blade server. 3. Connect the USB-C cable from your computer to the Compute Blade server. 4. Connect the network cable from the pose switch or injector to the Compute Blade server. 5. Turn on the pose switch or injector and wait for the Compute Blade server to boot up. 6. You should see the Raspberry Pi logo on the monitor and a login prompt. 7. Log in with the default username and password, Pi and Raspberry, or use your own credentials if you have changed them. 8. You can now use the Compute Blade server as a normal Raspberry Pi device. You can run commands, install software, access files, etc. 9. To test the network connection, you can ping another device on your network or use a web browser to access a website. 10. To test the M.2 SSD, you can use commands like lsblk, df, or fdisk to check its size, partitions, and mount points. You can also use commands like dd or fio to measure its read and write speeds. To troubleshoot your Compute Blade server, you can use some of these tips. If you don't see anything on the monitor, make sure the HDMI cable is properly connected and the monitor is turned on and set to the right input source. If you don't see any network activity, make sure the network cable is properly connected and the pose switch or injector is turned on and providing enough power. If you don't see any SSD activity, make sure the M.2 SSD is properly inserted and compatible with the Compute Blade server. You can also try formatting it with a different file system or using a different operating system. If you encounter any errors or issues with the software, you can try updating it with sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade commands or reinstalling it with sudo apt install reinstall command. If you encounter any hardware issues or failures, you can contact the manufacturer of the Compute Blade server for support or warranty. Some use cases for your Compute Blade server are hosting websites, databases, applications, or services that require high availability, scalability, and performance running distributed computing tasks like machine learning, data analysis, or simulation that require parallel processing and large amounts of memory and storage, creating a private cloud or edge computing platform that offers low latency, security, and privacy, building a cluster or supercomputer that can run complex algorithms or calculations, experimenting with physical computing projects that involve sensors, actuators, cameras, displays, or other devices. These are just some examples of what you can do with your Compute Blade server. You can also customize it according to your needs and preferences by adding more modules, changing the operating system, installing different software, etc. That's all for this section. I hope you enjoyed learning how to test and troubleshoot your Raspberry Pi Compute Blade server and some use cases for it. Thank you for watching this video and stay tuned for more.